All right, Evan Turner, where in the world are you this week?
I'm in the mean streets of Boston.
Oh.
Driving as a black man, and historically, I guess one of the most racist places on earth. But I'm feeling great, baby. I'm feeling great.
You were, I saw your social media stuff. You were there. Well, I know you were doing something with IT, right? With Isaiah Thomas. What was going on with you this week?
Yeah, Isaiah got inducted into the Boston Sports Museum Hall of Fame. So he got the Lifetime Achievement Award for basketball. So he got inducted with Gabby Thomas, Tim Thomas from the Bruins, the Honorable Vince Wilfork, and I'm trying to remember the other two. I forgot, but it was a great night. Obviously, Isaiah asked me to be a presenter for him, and it was just a cool night to partake in with my brethren. And it's cool. We never won a championship. I think it was cool to see how the city appreciated what Isaiah did, and how he put on his heroics. So it's cool to see.
You played, what was it, one season with him in Boston?
1.5. He came at the trade deadline in 2015, and then that was it. What
do you remember about that? Like his evolution was remarkable because he was a sixth man in Sacramento.
Yeah.
He goes to Phoenix and he's kind of caught up in a guard rotation that doesn't really work for him there. Nobody was really expecting much when he got traded to Boston. Right. Then all of a sudden he turns into this all-star, all-NBA caliber guard with the Celtics. What do you remember about that transformation? Did you expect him to be that good when you first started playing with him?
Well, I didn't know he'd be like all NBA, like that level. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Especially coming down from like the Suns, where it was like, you said they had that 3-guard rotation. He was relatively cold in that situation. I knew that he would be a big part for us because our team, our team wasn't the sexiest. You know what I mean? And I knew that Brad Stevens was a big fan of his game, and so was Danny Ainge. So I knew like right after the first game we played that he was going to be a problem and he was going to, keep on his run. I didn't know he'd be Mr. Fourth Quarter and all this and putting up 50 points a night. But the dude worked very, very hard. He competed at a high level. And I think his mentality really set the tone. We kind of follow his lead in a sense of like how great he wanted to be and where we wanted to take it. Each year they're trying to say we weren't going to make the playoffs, and little dude's pushing us over 40 wins and, rebuild in Boston on his own accord. So it was pretty cool to see, especially when you thought about like how hard he worked and how locked in he was. Isaiah studied to be great. He went around a lot of people to be great, and he was very, very intentional in that sense.
Yeah, I remember asking once, Micah Shrewsbury, who was on Brad's staff back then, what made IT like great? And one thing he said that caught my attention back in the day was he's got a Steph Curry-like quality in that he doesn't stop moving, right? Like when Steph's on the floor, he's in constant motion. IT before the injuries was just always moving, and you always had to keep up with him out there on the floor.
Yeah, especially in a Brad Stevens type offense as well. I think those two, the better and better that Isaiah was getting just naturally. Now think about like Brad Stevens calling ATOs for you, or running systems for you, or literally sitting at home and picking who the lemon is for him to attack. I mean, Isaiah, if he wasn't doing it with the ball in his hands, he had the trust of us to get him the ball as well because he was that dynamic. And, I think we all as a unit comprehended, successful things occur when the ball, gets in his hands.
Yeah, that injury sucked.
Yeah, man, that's part of that. Yeah, the same thing that makes you laugh makes you cry, I guess, man. But that was wild. That was absolutely wild.
Yeah. All right, we got a lot to get into here on the show, but I got to ask you first. I know you've been busy in Boston, but did you catch any of the Memphis Grizzlies Sacramento Kings game on Thursday night, where the Grizzlies just tattooed the Kings by, I think it was 40 some odd points, or at least it was at one point.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Forgive me. I missed out on that, and I think I'm going to miss out on the next Fast and Furious movie as well. You know what I mean?
Wow. I love the Fast and Furious movies. I will take no fast slander on this show.
After 8, I was like, all right, bro, I'm like, I believe a lot of stuff, and I could be naive, but like when the plane goes, like when the car goes out the plane,
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm expecting
I
signing.
get it. They went to outer space a couple
Yeah,
of movies
like,
ago.
you know what I
I get it.
mean? Like, and then you're gonna see, you know what I mean, Luke Skywalker up there, and you know what I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi next. Like, you know, so I kind of missed out on that little game. I was not clicking over for that.
It's okay. I wasn't initially watching it, but then I was just on my phone and I kept seeing the Grizzlies lead go up. It was like Grizzlies by 20, Grizzlies by 30, Grizzlies by 40. And this was a Memphis team that was playing without Ja Morant, obviously, without Jaren Jackson Jr. So it's two biggest stars, a team that was already floundering in the same way the Sacramento Kings are floundering. They tattoo the Kings by a huge number. Kings have lost 8 straight games. That is, there's just no hope out there, man. Like, you look at that team and that franchise, there's no hope.
Yeah, and I feel so bad for Vivek because he came on with so much energy. And he's like, yeah, let's spend money. Let's do this. Let's do that. And it's like, legitimately, there's to lose to the Memphis Grizzlies without Ja or Jaren is more alarming than you think. Like, you know what I mean? It's man, I just can't. I don't know which way they would go with it. I was never a big fan of like their point guard rotation. I think it's it goes synonymous with like them getting blitzed. Keon doesn't play
Ellis,
enough.
yeah.
Yeah, Keon Ellis doesn't play enough. I feel like they try to go so guard heavy, and I just think you have so many individual players on that team. There's nobody that's working with camaraderie or anything. And once, you know, the big fella goes down, you're just playing open gym ball, you know?
Well, they again, we don't have to talk too much about this, but like when I watched them, I saw one stretch where Russell Westbrook was out there with 4 guys who can't shoot.
Yeah.
Like, where the floor, you know, you're watching the Grizzlies and they shrunk the floor to basically cover the paint area. And all the Kings players were kind of inside the 3-point line. You cannot win in 2026 playing like that, or 2025, whatever it is. You cannot win that way. You've got to have floor spacers. They don't have them. You've got to have different, you know, athleticism, multiple positions. They don't have it. And I know Sabonis is out, but it would have made a difference. They lost 7 straight before Sabonis' recent injury, and now here they are. I just don't know, like, you can't, like, there are some teams out there you look at and say, all right, well, it's like, we'll talk about the Hornets in a bit. Like, can you trade LaMelo and get some pieces for him? Like, nobody wants their stuff in Sacramento. Ain't nobody trading for Zach LaVine. Nobody trading for DeMar DeRozan. No, at least not somebody giving you something back in return. Nobody wants their stuff. They're stuck.
You got to give credit to the Chicago Bulls for getting off that. And, you know, I wasn't shocked being a Bulls fan, and when they did the trade, because I love DeMar DeRozan, obviously a mid-range gamer. I love Zach LaVine. I'm just a fan of their game individually, but like historically, it's shown that it doesn't come down to winning, or it doesn't resort to winning. And I feel as though we've already seen this play out time and time again, where, you know, they taking their show on a roll where it's just like, hey, when they left Chicago, it was viewed as stuck. And now when they're in Sacramento, it's viewed as overly stuck. And I think what they do great at, they're not even able to do it because you have to put together other parts of the game. So they have a lot of great one-on-one players. So say if the game came down to it, if you're in a close game or isolation game and you try to find mismatches to take advantage of it, that's too hard to do over 48 minutes, or also to do when, you know what I mean, most of your shots are going to come down to 17, 18-foot pull-ups, and you know what I mean, and not much passing. You know what I mean? That's also tough as well.
It's not even Thanksgiving, and they've lost 8 straight and got blown out by Memphis by around 40. Crazy. Like, I mean, that looks like a team that just quit. And we're talking about before Thanksgiving. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And a veteran team at that. Like, you know what I mean? I think a couple weeks ago, too, Doug Christie kind of yelled in the locker room and was like, yo, you're not going to put this jersey on and act like this. But it's like, to even have to talk to him like that early is alarming. And
he took the other approach. He took the other approach after the game on Thursday, where he was like, you know, yeah, we did some good things. The young guys, like, he's just flipping the script left and right. He's trying to do the, you know, good cop, bad cop with this team, but nothing is working. They might as well play whatever young guys they got and see what they can get for anybody otherwise. I just don't.
Absolutely.
I don't see it.
We're on the same page. We're definitely on the same page. I think even DeMar and Zach LaVine just needs if they could go elsewhere, they just need space to get away from each other. I feel like that little dynamic duo, like, because at the end of the day too, they're so talented that, like, as a coach as well, you darn near have to implement them in such a heavy part, and that identity isn't always going to mold well for winning or this current NBA. And it's shown historically. I mean, they got all mid-range guys out the league. You know what I'm saying? And even just leaving when you have Zach, it's like, bro, you need to mix in 5 or 4 rebounds with your 30, you know? And I just think guys are just going out there to get paid to do their one skill set. And when you have good teams and good winning teams, the players are also helping lead in the culture. And like you said, I think they quit and they're just waiting until April.
Yeah. April's a long way away. You got a lot of season left to play.
When you're getting your ass kicked, you're like, golly, this is taking forever. Like 1,000%.
All right. From the Kings to a better story up in Toronto. Raptors right now, 10-5. They've won 9 of their last 10. Rachel Nichols and I talked a lot about the Raptors on the last episode, but you texted me this morning saying you wanted to get your piece in on what's going on up there in Toronto. Probably there's been a lot of good surprises in this season, but one of the biggest surprises of the year has been the Raptors, top 10 in the league offensively, top half of the league right now in defensive efficiency. What do you make of them? And I guess more importantly, like, do you see this as being something sustainable over the rest of the season?
You want to know what I'm so surprised about is that, like, the same way we discussed the Sacramento Kings, I thought it would be like a more selfish situation, you know? I thought literally, like, I didn't know how their offense would go. I didn't know how they would mold, how they would click. And right now they're averaging 30 assists per game. They have like 4 of their main players averaging 4 assists per game. You got Brandon Ingram averaging around 4 assists per game. And even with Scotty Barnes, where you're seeing how they're setting them up now and putting them in positions to succeed, I feel like they can keep it up because it's more efficient and they're willing to do it. They're passing 30 assists per game. They're getting out in transition. They're making sure they're getting stops. And I feel as though they're playing at a high level. And when you're watching them, everybody's accepting their role. Emmanuel Quickly's doing a great job. Besides Brandon Ingram, like, doing his ISO plays, he's getting off the ball and he's not being as aggressive, but he's being efficient in his movement. And I feel like the whole team is doing such a tremendous job, especially RJ Barrett, even him shooting the ball so much better this year. And they have a big team that, you know, even though they haven't been great towards the top half defensively in regards to numbers of like blocks and steals, they're still getting stops and then still getting out in transition and making it pure hell. And that's what's making them dangerous.
Yeah, RJ Barrett, you mentioned 50% from the floor, around 34% from 3, averaging 19 points per game. That's pretty solid. Also giving them about 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He's been a nice piece. Like, they're really well stocked at these wing positions. Like, this began under Masai Ujiri and has continued under Bobby Webster, where, you know, look, like a lot of teams in the league, they see the NBA trending toward positionless basketball where you can play a guy 3 or 4 different spots. They've got guys that can do that. I think Scotty Barnes is once again kind of back on that track to looking like if not a franchise player, a cornerstone type of guy. Yeah. I think I compared him to Scottie Pippen last time. I think that's apt. I mean, he's got the playmaking skills. He can defend. He can do a whole bunch of different things. So he's certainly got that potential. And Ingram, I talked about this last show too, but Ingram, like, they just needed a bucket getter in the half court. Like, Ingram's still not a high percentage 3-point shooter, but when the game slowed down last year, they didn't have a guy they could give the ball to. As good as Barnes is, he's not that guy. RJ Barrett, not really that guy. Yeah. Brandon Ingram is that guy. Like, Brandon Ingram, you give the ball to, and he's been that guy. Like, he's got, like, you can tell me if you disagree with the comparison, but he's got some Tatum vibes to him. Like, you know, I'm not just saying that because they were right there in the same draft, but they're both like these 6'9", 6'10", long wings who can get you buckets in the half court. And that's an invaluable asset to have for a team that's struggling to score offensively.
Yeah, and his IQ, like, I don't even think you have to say in regards to just, like, don't call him just talented. Like, he knows his spots. He works on his game. And literally every time you watch him get a bucket in an ISO, it's like, how do you stop that? And then it makes you think about, like, yo, I forget how elite Brandon Ingram is. And that's and his mentality and his mindset, and when he's playing in a winning atmosphere, is molded well. So, like I said, they already have a lot of trust in regards to getting the ball out in transition. They'll let RJ Barrett push it. They'll let Scotty Barnes push it. Or even let the big foreign guy off the. The 15th.
Mamu, just go with Mamu.
Yeah, Babu. They'll let him push.
Not Babu. Mamu.
Mamu. Yeah,
Yes.
I've tried. And
Babu's from Seinfeld.
Yeah. And but I just think that team is dangerous. And when you have that type of length, that type of energy running down on you, I mean, it's hard for people to keep up.
Yeah. I think, and the one question I've had is how sustainable is it on the defensive end of the floor? I think they can be in that top 10 offensively if they stay healthy. They've got the horse to do it. I think Barrett is consistent, right? Like for all the criticism of RJ Barrett, the last few years, he's been mid-30s, high 30s, three-point shooter, high 40s, maybe 50% from the field. He is what he is. He's never going to be like he was in the Zion draft. He's never going to be a franchise guy, but he can be that next tier of guy. They just don't.
4 assists too, which I never would have thought. I would never thought he would average 4 assists at any point in his life. So I'm impressed.
Good playmaking skills for a guy that didn't look like he had him early in his career. It's just when I look at the starting lineup, there's not a lot of plus defenders there. You got Barnes, who's an A+ defender, but is Ingram a plus defender? No. Is Quickly a plus defender? No. Barrett, average, I would say, at best. Jakob Poeltl is fine in the middle. They've got plus defenders on their bench, but they want to play these start. Like, their offense would suffer if they bring too many of these bench guys along there. So I think that's my big question, as we go into December, January, all those. Like, I think they can score like they've been scoring. I think Ingram's going to, if he can stay on the floor, is going to be a presence for him. Defensively, I wonder. I said something else that people were tweeting at me after I said it on the last show. Like, I didn't think they were this young. Like, they're one of the youngest teams in the league. I keep looking at these guys. I'm like, God, Quickly, feels like he's been around forever. He's 26. Yeah. RJ Barrett feels like he's been around forever. He's 25. Scotty Barnes is 24. I forget how young this team is still and how much room they still have to grow.
Yeah, with great coaching. I think one thing, that's a great part that you said about the defense, because even when we rave about Brandon Ingram, I think they say when he's on the court, it's like a plus 10, plus 12, like he's giving up points when he's off the court. I believe the defense is a little bit better. So obviously when it comes down to it, I believe the coach is going to have to find unique lineups in order for them to thrive, because no matter what, you need a Brandon Ingram on the team, because his offense is saying like, hey, as long as he's there, like we just raved about, he'll be able to get you some stops and be able to get you some makes in the half court system, because he's just that talented. But I've watched him decent enough to be like, hey, I'm not too worried about the defensive upside in this, because I feel as though even though they're not getting crazy blocks and steals, they still manage to get stops. And when they do, they're turning it over into transition points, and that's really their game. I think they've been dominating and been having such a successful way of putting their energy and their identity on each game. And that takes will. And until somebody stops that, good luck. And also, too, you have to be able to wear them down. Like, they're wearing people down on offense. They're passing the ball so much now. You know what I mean? So it's a lot going in their favor where we're pushing advantages.
Yeah, they have some dogs, too, coming off the bench. Like, Jamal Sheed is a dog off the bench. Mamu. Colin Murray-Boyles, I loved him coming to the draft.
I like him
we talked
too,
about another wing. You're doing the shooting motion. Like, that was the criticism of him coming in. Like, could he be a consistent, reliable perimeter shooter? He's not taking a lot of threes now, but he's shooting 50% from three-point range, shooting 50% from the floor. He gave me some like Thaddeus Young type of vibes when I was watching some of his pre-draft work. That's a compliment. I'm saying Thaddeus Young was a good player.
I played with Thaddeus Young. He's a superhuman. Yeah, so I know. Yeah.
Like, he could play a bunch of different positions, could get into you defensively. Like, I kind of got some of those vibes off him. I think he's been a great addition to that team. So yeah, I think they've got the potential to stick around the top of the Eastern Conference. If they can keep that defense right around middle of the pack, doesn't have to be great. If they can keep it middle of the pack or better, they're going to be good. All right, a couple teams we have to talk to that are a little down on their luck right now. The Los Angeles Clippers, who are in a bit of a tailspin at the moment. They go to Orlando on Thursday and they get tattooed by the Magic, lose by 28 points. It's been an awful road trip, a whole bunch of injuries. Kawhi Leonard is still out. Bradley Beal is done for the season. Just a whole bunch of stuff going on there. Like
Derrick Jones
everywhere.
out,
Yeah,
right?
Derrick Jones, who got hurt in Boston, he's out for 6 weeks, which is, good because that looked really bad, that injury in Boston.
Yeah.
I look up and down at some of these numbers, ET, like 22nd in the league in offensive rating, 24th in defensive rating, 25th in net rating, 28th in turnover percentage, 29th in pace, so they're playing really slow as well. They're not defensive rebounding. They're not offensive rebounding. They're giving up a whole bunch of second chance points. They're giving up a whole bunch of fast break points. The Magic, I think, had 41 fast break points in this game. The Magic had 41 fast break points. I know Orlando's playing faster this year, but that number jumped off the page to me. They're 30th in the NBA in opponent points off turnovers. So they're giving up a lot of points when they're committing turnovers. What do you see with this Clippers team? I mean, the injuries aside, they were playing poorly before the injuries. Like the injuries maybe have, exacerbated the situation. But what do you think of the state of the Clippers right now?
I just think they just missed their window. I think they truly missed their window, and they tried to put a Band-Aid over. I don't know. They finished the season so well last year. They went 18-3. Besides the OKC Thunder, they were at a high level. I mean, when you break it down, if it wasn't for a tip-in going into the playoffs, they could have advanced and went far. James Harden's playing pretty well at this time too. I just don't think they just have a great team. You went and got John Collins. I think you kind of, he's been the least amount production for the whole he's been since he was a rookie. He's not going in a high level. I think the fact that you have to rely on James Harden so much at this age is saying how much of a struggle that you have. You look at Bojan Bogdanovic, even though he had a couple great years, he's still coming back from injuries. I think like right now, that same recipe of just winding and grinding, let James Harden cook, I just think it's just ran its course. And I just don't think they have enough firepower. They're either they're tweeners. They're either going to be stuck on trying to rebuild or I would say make trades, but they don't really have any trade value. This is what happens once again, where I think it shouldn't shock us when you lose a player like Norman Powell. Norman Powell was at an all-star level. But at another point, I think we took for granted Norman Powell's pace and his presence. I think he could play any type of way where it molded well to that team. You're playing transition, he could shoot, catch and shoot, or you could take it off the dribble and put pressure on the rim. And I think when you lose a guy with that type of energy, it's going to do so much for your team. And I think they're missing him along with other valuable basketball players. Yeah,
I think they underestimated the overall value of Norman Powell. Like Norman Powell was part of the heart and soul, beyond the production. And he was, I thought he deserved to be an all-star last year. I thought he should have gotten one of those injury exemptions.
Shout out Brian, huh?
Exactly.
Right.
He brought a lot to that locker room. You go back to the preseason when everybody thought the team was going to struggle after Paul George left. Yeah. He was the guy going, nah. Yeah. Addition by subtraction. Like he was out there saying some things. Like he was setting the tone for that team in the locker room. He's gone. And even before they lost Bradley Beal, it was clear Bradley Beal wasn't a replacement.
Yeah, he's only averaged 8 points a game. It was done. Yeah.
Also the least surprising thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just assuming Bradley Beal was going to excel in a 6-man role after never really playing it. I never really bought into that. So losing Norman Powell was a problem. The biggest shocker for me, though, is how bad this team is defensively. Like, if you sitting there saying, like, all right, they're 22nd in offensive rating. All right, well, you lose some guys. I can see that. You're too over-reliant on James Harden. Fine, whatever. I can see them being middle of the pack or worse offensively. That's not a shocker.
Yeah.
But this was the third best defensive team in the league last year. You mentioned that stretch they went on, in the final month or so of the season. That was spearheaded by what they did defensively. They were great on that end of the floor. Zubac was a top defender. Kawhi, elite defender. Yes, Kawhi's been out, but again, even before that, they were not good defensively. And listen, I was watching the Ty Lue press conference after the Magic game, and some of the things he said, and I want to get your take on how you interpret what it means when a coach says something like this. He said, we need more physicality from the guards. We're not up on pick and rolls. The guards are not getting into the ball. The low man is late. When I hear stuff like that, I think effort.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's effort plays. They're not getting maximum effort from the guys out there on the floor. And that to me is troubling.
Yeah, well, you take a step further, it's mindset. Like, it's how you set the tone. It's tenacity. Like, we just brought up Norman Powell. It's like, no, he was into the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was fighting over screens. Like, they were all on one accord, where I think when it's coming down to communication, and I think when you're sitting here in the locker room, it's being like, hey, defense, you got to be on one stream. What's going on in practice? What's going on, like, in a game, and what's the identity? And once again, like we said, that's an example of them losing their identity, because last year they were top 3 in defense, and now we're saying, like, you have a problem if you're a guard in this league and your coach says you don't get into the ball, or like you're a heavy pick and roll team and they're talking about you're not pulled over early. Like, that's rudimentary. Like, if you get that done early, if you get that handled, your opportunity will raise, you know what I mean, in order to win games and put yourself in a successful position. But now that's common sense. And we got to think about personnel, and are they able to do that? You have James Harden out there right now, where, you know, obviously he's never historically been a great defender. You have, you know, you're giving John Collins minutes, and it's like he's never been great in pick and roll. Zubac's been trying to figure it out, but you got young guys like, was it Kobe Sanders?
Yeah, but Chris Dunn is still out there. Chris Dunn's a good defender. Like, what I don't understand how this has been such a precipitous decline. Like, if you had fallen back like to like 10th or whatever, I might say, all right, personnel is a bigger issue. But being in like close to the bottom 5 in the league in defense stuns me. And if you listen to Ty, it sounds like he's not getting maximum effort from his guys.
Yeah, 1,000. That's an understatement.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know what they do either. I don't know how they turn it around. I mean, I guess you just cross your fingers and hope Kawhi comes back, but I'm not sure that solves the problem either.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the same team. Like we said, he finished the season 18-3 last year. So, I mean, that was a quarter of, you know what I mean? That was a quarter of the season. So sometimes when you have this veteran type team, even though like it's scary that like a veteran team's going through this, at the same time, they also know what they can do. And they'll be like, hey, man, basketball's a game of runs. Say by the time we hit January, all we need to do is keep this thing close. And they might be arguing like, hey, we're just hurt right now. Like, in their mind, we're just hurt right now, as opposed to anything else that occurred. They're just 6 months removed from playing high-level basketball, or some of the best basketball in the league. So I want to give Ty Lue a little bit more credit, because I've always thought he's done a great job as a coach. I want to give him credit to try to figure it out, because you can't trade. You can't go get trades. It's not much like there's going to work for. You have to stick here and work yourself out. And I believe, you know, a locker room full of vets and guys have had championship experiences. I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt. If not, you know what I mean? Shout out Ballmer for trying to turn up Inglewood.
You got the All-Star game there. Congratulations. You got the All-Star game in Inglewood. Look, I think Ty Lue's one of the best coaches in the league. I had him in my top 5 in the preseason rankings at SI. I think Jeff Van Gundy is among the best defensive minds in the league. That's why this is so startling. Like how they can't get maximum effort from them on the defensive end of the floor. I don't. Well, you know what's the craziest part of all this, to spin it big picture? Like, you got Oklahoma City sitting out there with their first round pick. Like the Thunder own the Clippers' first round pick. I tweeted this out on Thursday night. Like, the Thunder are really going to win 70 games, go back to back, and then draft like AJ DeBanza with the Clippers pick next year's draft. It's wild. Wild.
That is crazy. And then they owe the Sixers a couple picks too, right?
Yeah, they've got a lot of pick obligations.
They missed their window, bro. They just missed their.
And injuries cost them there, like Kawhi's injuries over the years, certainly. Like, people go back and do that.
When Kawhi tore his knee, that should have been like a flagrant 2. Like, that literally was like the most. I'm just saying, bro, like, when you break it down, he was on his way to the chip. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Although in some ways you can kind of predict, you know, Kawhi Leonard knee injuries were going to be coming. Like, it was a roll of the dice. It was a roll of the dice.
You're right about that. That moves us on into the Anthony Davis talk, right?
Yes. Right? Excellent segue. The Dallas Mavericks also struggling right now. You know, we're competitive the other night. some good signs. You see some nice things out of this team. Cooper Flag, I think, is still going to be a franchise player, but they are in the bottom of the standings as well. AD is out for around another week right now. Kyrie Irving, there's no return date. And it seems like there's a lot of talk right now around this team about whether or not it's wise to kind of push through and try to get this team back on track. I saw Mark Cuban make some comments to The Athletic recently where he said, we're not trading Anthony Davis. We're trying to win right now. Mark Cuban has also said a lot of things in the past that have turned out not to be true. He's got a habit of making statements that turn out to be demonstrably false. So I don't put much stock in Cuban's analysis of that. Remember, he doesn't have any power within that team anymore. He's basically a well-paid advisor with the Mavericks. But what do you do here if you're Dallas? Like, do you think that a return to health of AD, getting Kyrie Irving back in January, Cooper Flag, more games, he gets better. Klay Thompson, a different role, playing off of these guys, he's better. Is it wise to push through and try to see the Nico Harrison dream through? Or do you start thinking long and hard about, whether or not to tear this thing down and see what you can get for them?
Historically, I would say it's wise to push through because AD, when he's healthy, he's throwing up 29 and 12. You know what I mean? And then also, too, Kyrie's had a couple years of 90, 50, 40. So that matchup that you're facing, that duo, is going to be a problem duo. I don't think it'll be a championship level. I think that is out the window for sure based off OKC and all those other guys. But I think keeping them will help build towards the future in regards to how they'll be able to help Cooper Flag. I think getting Cooper Flag real big time moments and game minutes as opposed to tanking, because I do think with the right type of team, he can figure out how to fit in, how to be a great complementary player, all while being able to break out in the right form. So also too, we're also in a mind, who are you going to go get? Some of our top players are old and 38 and 39. And then some of our younger guys, like Anthony Edwards, or the people that you think might be a real contender or can really change something. There's nobody out there to really go get. It's damn if you do, damn if you don't. And sometimes, whether you want to or not, because I know the fan base and everybody wants something to shake now. So I know this might be the best you have. This might be the best you get, because other than that, you would need time and overly some camaraderie in order to make chemistry work when you're not going to have the best superstar out there. You're not going to go get a top 5 player anywhere with any type of trade. So now you're going to have elite coaching, elite chemistry in order just to make a push and make that fan base happy, or whatever championship, contention that you think you're going to have. But we can't, besides the injuries, which is a big, big deal, bro. AD is AD. And we kind of forget that. And Kyrie Irving's Kyrie Irving. And I just think I got so much faith in where Cooper Flag is going to, where he's going to take it. And I also believe if you figure out how to get PJ Washington back in advantageous situations, he was killing when he was the 4-man. And since they're so top heavy and not getting AD to always play center, it's PJ Washington struggling with wings, So I think we have to do more and more stuff where the coaches are yo, how are we going to get the others involved where we can make ourselves 8 deep, as opposed to trying to make it make sense. They had Cooper Flag starting point guard because they wanted to start, it made no sense. And I think no matter what, you're not going to get over the fact of finding the right chemistry to work.
There's no doubt that if they can get AD and Kyrie on the floor with Cooper Flag, they've got the potential to take off. The question is, when are all those guys going to get out there? And what's the ceiling for the team once they do? That's, to me, an open question. When I talk to people in Dallas, trading Kyrie is not an option. They know that Cooper Flag needs to play with a point guard. And Kyrie is in year 1 of a 3-year extension. He's been wildly successful down there. The best best kind of situation, I think, of Kyrie's career. It's been great for him, both with the Mavericks.
Yeah.
Everything. It's worked out. And from what I hear, like he and Cooper Flag practices, they're vibing. It's a good situation down there. The Anthony Davis stuff, though, is a different story. I think there have been real talks among the new powers that be in Dallas, which include the two co-GMs. Jason Kidd swings a big bat down there now. He's gotten multiple extensions from ownership. He is a very influential voice with that team. There have been talks about the merits of trading Anthony Davis. And I think there will continue to be talks about trading Anthony Davis for a couple of reasons. One, like if you're not sure when Kyrie's going to come back, this is the draft to be bad in, right? Like this is the year to keep being bad.
Yeah.
Like the 2026 draft, and I was talking to a couple of college scouts this week in LA. The 2026 draft is widely considered one of the best drafts in recent history, especially at the top. Yeah, 3 or 4 different guys. I mentioned Tabatsa, he's a stud. Kid from Kansas is good. I'm not a college expert, but there's a lot of guys out there that...
Mikael Brown, Nate Ament, I mean, you don't have to be in a lottery to go get you a good player. It's actually crazy. It's going.
Well, you don't have to hit. You don't in years past, it's like it's number one or bust, right?
Yeah.
Like even last year, it's like Cooper Flag or bust. You don't have that problem this year. So if you can get inside the top 3 or 4, you can get another franchise player. On top of that, the Mavericks do not control their draft picks after this year until 2031. They either have pick swaps or like say 2027. The Hornets are getting their pick as part of that PJ Washington deal. They're getting their pick. If it's top 2 protected, but good luck with that. There's the Hornets are getting the pick. So if you're going to be bad, this is the year to be bad. And if you can trade Anthony Davis for some version of expiring contracts and a little bit of draft capital, you've got to at least consider it. And on top of that,
the taxes,
you got to look at the taxes. Yeah, the financial situation is perilous in Dallas. I saw Bobby Marks talking about this from ESPN. The next year, the penalties could be $370 million.
Yeah, that
$370.
And they're working on going towards the second apron too.
You're zooming in that direction. Look, if you're a good team and competing for a championship and you're in that 3-year window Nico Harrison was talking about, great. You keep paying them. But if you're a play-in team or worse, what are you doing paying that money? So I think there's a lot of reasons why there's merit to discussing an AD trade that reduces your tax burden and gets you back some of the draft capital you've given away.
And also too, this with this new CBA, people don't understand that when our superstars are hurt, now 35% of your salary is being taken up. You know what I mean? AD is going to be making a buku of money with that extension. And since last year, he's only played 15 games. And man, I just that's so hard. Because being a Chicago guy, it's just so hard to not be you gotta get him out of here. Aside from all the tax implications and everything, but it's just you got a big guy that you can't depend on. And when we talk about it, he was great in 2023, 2024. Don't let me get that wrong. But his last real dominating, unbelievable year was during the bubble when he was hitting threes and won the championship and everything like that. But since then, he hasn't shot the ball well. And I mean, when it comes down to championship bids like Joker, he hasn't won any type of battles or, had success in postseason as well, Well,
let me ask you this, as our resident Bulls fan up there, as we discuss fake Anthony Davis trades. Bulls could use somebody like AD up in that front court. Would you entertain the possibility of some version of a Vucevic Kobe White trade that gets you Anthony Davis?
I like Vucevic, man. That's our Jordan right now.
You got to try. I know, but he's on the last year of his contract, year of his deal. You're probably not going to pay him.
I would definitely entertain that for sure because I like that what Kobe White would also be adding to the Mavericks, to be completely honest with you. I think the Mavericks...
There's your next guard of the future. You got a
Yeah.
young guy. Here's another young guy you could put with Cooper Flag plus
Yeah.
a draft pick. Like you're...
And you need a scoring guard when you go
But
to
does
Chicago.
it make sense for the Bulls? Does it make sense for the Bulls?
I mean, for the time being, like, you got to also understand Chicago Bulls fans. Right now, we're just vibing out. So, like, when we sit there, we appreciate going to the games. We're like, all right, bro, AD's from here. That would make us happy. Like, you know what I mean? If they signed D Rose, we would be happy. Like, even us starting off the season great, we're like, hey, bro, we do the play-in again, we're happy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think from like a vibe stance, from Chicago would love to have AD home. I think in regards to realistic basketball, I would love to see Josh Giddey, who's going, possibly could be an all-star this year. His playmaking, his passing, how he would look in a pick and roll with Anthony Davis. It's not the sexiest, thing coming up, but I think they can make something work in that regard. But it comes down once again to trying to figure out if AD is going to be healthy and if he's going to be a 5-man or a 4-man, because that, as you can see, his reluctancy to accept the role or kind of fit what's best for the team. Not saying he's not a team guy, has gotten him off to a slow start and taken away from others.
It has. But if I'm the Bulls, I would consider it. Because right now the Bulls are bottom third of the league in defensive efficiency. Like, that still is a weakness. They've been great to start the season, but they're still not a great defensive team. You add, and Kobe White's been out. They've been able to be successful without him for the first month or so of the season. You swap out AD for Vucevic. And yeah, you're right. He's going to have to play some center. You can play him with, Jalen Smith, Patrick Williams. You can play him with a bunch of guys that maybe take some of that burden away. But AD, Okoro, 2+ defenders on that front line. Giddey is great. Like, when Giddey signed that contract, I saw some people be like, wow, they're paying Josh Giddey $25 million. I swear to God, first thing I said was bargain. Bargain. That guy was going to overplay that contract in year one. Imagine what he's doing in year 3. He's only making $25 million per year. Like, that's a great deal. Herder looks like the guy we saw early in Sacramento.
I love Herder, yeah.
Like, I just think, like, if you're the Bulls and you're in the Eastern Conference, there's always a variable. You're in the Eastern Conference, and the Eastern Conference stinks. AD's out there, and you don't acquire him now because you got to see how that calf plays out. He's got to get back and play at least 2 weeks before you even think about trading for him. But if he's able to do that, and you're into January, and you're sitting there mixing it up with the Knicks and Raptors and Cavs at the top of the conference standings, I would think about it. And look, you're going to have to pay Vucevic next year if you want to keep him. You have to pay Kobe White next year if you want to keep him. So the money's not a huge factor in all this. I would think long and hard about that if I'm the Bulls.
No, absolutely. And I would be into that. I'd definitely be into that because, once again, this is a place we're looking for already. The Bulls have been waiting in general just to bring a big-time name. So I think if you get an AD in a trade, and then now you got Anthony Davis there, I think it makes Chicago once again a potential, landing spot. I think a lot of guys have always been curious about going there and free agents, but it hasn't been like a substantial individual there in a while. I think AD can help get there. It's just like, if he's going to play, if he's going to be healthy, like we said prior, since last year, like literally every time he does something good for the Mavs, he goes out for weeks. He's only played 15 games since April. Like, you know what I mean? That is, I don't know if that's crazy, if he's hurt, or that's choice, or if he's not motivated. Like I'm kind of wary of, like, is AD still motivated after he left Los Angeles and, you know what I mean, in Hollywood? Does he want to do that? You have to check in on that. We're also waiting, and it's not dissing Anthony Davis because he's one of the best players in the world, but there's a time where we were saying Anthony Davis is going to be the best player in the world. And we waited for that as well. And I think when you're saying impact, much like if you have LaMelo Ball or some of these guys are talented and do like a lot of dope things, but when we're saying like some of these expectations might just be too high, and we're just allowing them to leave and do the exact same thing, and we're the ones wondering like what the problem is, and we're the problem. He ain't the problem. He already showed us who he is. You know what I mean?
Hey, maybe going back to Chicago reignites that fire.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
That's what I just look. It doesn't look like it's going to work out in Dallas. Yeah. That's kind of the bottom line for AD. Last thing for you. There was a report this week from Yahoo Sports that LaMelo Ball is looking for a deal. Also, the Hornets might be willing to deal him. Charlotte, once again, is very bad. LaMelo Ball, once again, is unavailable. He's played 9 games this year. He's only had 1 season in his, 6+ years that he's played more than 51 games. One season. Only 2 seasons where he's played at least 50 games. So availability has been an issue for LaMelo Ball. This Charles Lee offense where may not be the best fit, doesn't look like the best fit right now for LaMelo Ball. So let's start here. What is your take on LaMelo? Do you look at LaMelo as being a franchise guard? Do you look at him as being kind of a cut below? Like what do you think the perception is of LaMelo Ball?
I think a franchise guard, after being around a few like Damian Lillard and, Isaiah Thomas, I think a franchise guard is much more than talent and what you do on the court. I think obviously it's a tone you set off the court and a leadership you accept. Even when you look at Fred VanVleet, he's not anywhere as talented as LaMelo Ball, but his personality, his energy says he's a franchise guard. When you look at Kyle Lowry in Toronto, nobody like overly loved this game, but how he pulled up what he did was a franchise guard. And I think one thing that occurs when LaMelo goes out there solo dolo just to play basketball, like his whole life is going to work for him because, unfortunately, it's not like he's a selfish person, but he's always played with empty stats or always played where it's just like, yo, I'm here to entertain you. And I think now when it's coming down to the nitty gritty, it's either you're going to have to bring around a strong alpha around them so they can accept the tone or personality, or else you're going to get the younger brother vibe that has yet to mature or has yet to be an environment to mature either, because it's also to play devil's advocate. He was stuck 2 or 3 years in Hornets where it was just pure hell and chaos. And it wasn't a great spot for a kid like LaMelo to develop or mature. And whether you think so or not, like monkey see, monkey do. It's almost like if the adults don't care, I don't care. And right now the Hornets they've lost that like the early teens Phoenix identity where it was just like dead end and blaming all the young kids for what's going on, to the point of just being like, hey, we're on track. But there's nothing against LaMelo, but does his identity fit into what we're trying to do? It's not even like he's an enigma, but it's just like he's wavy. He's a superstar. He's a rock star. He's only known how to play one way his whole life, which is at like a completely different level. And I think he would benefit going to like a different team, or people just accepting who he is. We never seen him play any type of way besides a careless form of basketball that only he can do at a high level. You know what I mean? He's not going to guard. He's not going to stay healthy. When you look at like, you compare it to D'Angelo Russell, where he had moments of getting hot, it's like, man, some of those shots are so bad, it's hit or miss. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. And sometimes it doesn't really carry over so much to, developing into the next generation and what they already have. And I gave you a mouthful, but that's what I feel on.
Yeah, I'm a fan of LaMelo Ball. I thought the year that he made the All-Star team, he showed some of those flashes of being a franchise player. I understand a big part of that All-Star selection was he's really popular among kids and the fans voted for him. But there is that player within him. I think he's got the highest ceiling of anybody in his family. I think Lonzo's a good player, obviously, but I think LaMelo has a higher ceiling. I want to see what he can do on a team that's built to be competitive. We have not seen him yet on a team that in the preseason, you said that team is built to win. Like that team should make the playoffs this year. I want to see him on a team that's competitive. And I think he's got the guys around him. Maybe it's not this year, but the guys he has around him, I think that the Hornets team could be competitive. Look, I think Brandon Miller, who's been injured, is a really good number 2. He's a bucket getter. I think he can do it. Con Knipple can play. Can play. Like, he's a shooter. He can play. He is a good wing to have opposite LaMelo Ball. They've got that center. Yeah.
Kyle Brenner is unbelievable. He doesn't miss. I think Miles Bridges, like when you sit there, Miles Bridges is locked in. He's accepted his role. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he needs to be. I think he's like a great 4th or 5th option in like tenacity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I was pretty excited about this team too. I think LaMelo just needs. It's hard when you don't have veterans around to start, bro. LaMelo would have benefited from some type of arm on his shoulder, leadership. Like, you know what I mean? Veteran leadership on how to lead a team and guide a team. And I That's a young group, man. That's a young group that's just still trying to shake off some of their ugly days, you know?
No,
And
I
I felt like,
remember. I remember early in the season, like there was all this talk about how Colin Sexton was, the sage veteran. Colin Sexton's still a young guy. Like
yeah,
he was the veteran leader in that locker room.
yeah,
Yeah. There's to me, there's no upside even considering a LaMelo deal right now because the value's so low. Like, what are you
yeah.
going to get for him? Like, you're going to flip him to like Memphis
This
in a
for
Ja
sure.
Morant slot
Yeah,
for problem player for problem player. Like, I mean, there are teams out there that would certainly take him. Point guard's a key position in the league, but you're not going to get more than a matching contract and maybe a first round draft pick. I would stay the course with this team in Charlotte. I would try desperately to get my three top young guys, LaMelo, Miller, Knipple on the floor, Bridges on the floor, and just try to get some momentum, try to build with this group. I do think there's the potential there to have a sustainable winner. I do think LaMelo Ball can be a number one option on a playoff team. I think he can be that guy. I think he can be a franchise point guard. We haven't seen it yet. We've only seen it in flashes, but I do think he can be that guy. Trading him now, the value's just not high enough, man. It's just,
right.
you're not going to get dollar for dollar for him.
No, you're absolutely right. And I just maturity. If his maturity kicks up, his talent's there. That's it. Being a younger brother, bro, I'm just maturing at 37. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, you got Andy, like, shout out to Andy, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like the kid that got a Ferrari at 16, a Lamborghini at 16, and got, 200 million after playing 48 games total. Like, I think he has so much to learn where, like, he's ahead of the snake. So be patient, of course. Like, you don't expect it this year, but it's just like he has a lot to learn. And I just think he would benefit from just need a veteran. I don't know where Kemba Walker is, somebody, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to lead to the level that we think they can be at is going to take a strong mental mind, you know?
You do need two or three veteran guys in that locker room.
Yeah. And that's why I always
just
like
playing supporting roles.
Yeah, I always play devil's advocate for LaMelo because it's like who's helping him? Like, half his teammates got arrested his first 2 years. Like, you know what I mean? No, it's funny, but it's not. It's like what are we talking about? People are like, what's to LaMelo? It's like, no, what's to the front office? Like, like y'all put him in, you know what I mean, in down Schitt's Creek. And then even then gave him 200 million. It's like, yo, just chill out. It's like, no, we all have to step up and help him understand what it takes and what we expect. I think he still thinks he's a cute little kid. You know what I mean? And by year 3 or 4, other people got stuff jumping. Like, and he has enough talent and skill set to at least keep things afloat. Like, they look like they might win 24 games again, 25 games. You know what I mean? Around there this year. And I'm just saying, with skill set like LaMelo, Colin Knipple, actually Charles Lee, who knows how to coach, Kyle Brenner, like, you should be in a position of being able to steal some games, like, and making a wave. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I do think there's direction
within
the Hornets for the first time in LaMelo's career. I mean, Jeff Peterson was a guy people were excited about coming over from Brooklyn. Charles Lee, you mentioned, as Milwaukee, Boston, been on successful coaching staffs, rising star in the ranks. I think there's the potential for it to come together. So I would, that's a long way of saying I wouldn't consider trading LaMelo right now. I would ride this out and hope it eventually pays dividends. All right, ET, enjoy your rest of your time in Boston, my friend.
Appreciate
I'm sure
you.
there's a lot of seafood left to be eaten, down there in the North Shore.
Of course, bro.
Good stuff, man.
Much love, bro. Thank you, man.